Hello, my name is Dennis Wright, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker with the Family Advocacy Program here at Dyess. Today I'm going to talk to you with you about one of the most important and exciting times of your life, and that is marriage. While growing up, most of you anticipated being married, and most while growing up were around adults who were probably married. And you may have grown up in a family where you had parents who were happily married and talked with you about your own future marriage, leaving you with excitement and anticipation about that day when it would come and you two would be marrying the love of your life. However, some of you may have grown up in homes where you saw parents divorce, and you lived with possibly just your mom, just your dad. And as time passed, your single parent may have introduced you to a step parent. Or you may have lived with grandparents because of the effects of your parents divorcing. Unfortunately, more and more children are growing up in homes where they have seen their parents divorce. The current divorce rate, according to the U.S. statistics in 2018, show that the U.S. has 50% of first marriages, 67% of second, and 73% of third marriages end in divorce. Estimated 41% of new marriages will end in divorce within the first 8 years. Let me help you understand these percentages a little easier. Imagine every 13 seconds there's a divorce in the U.S. That equates to 277 divorces per hour, 6,648 each day, 46,523 a week, and a whopping 2,419,196 divorces a year. These numbers are staggering when you consider couples. Also, we'll talk about some of the unique situations couples experience who are listed in the military. Won't you, if you only accept one suggestion from me today, it would be go to pre-marriage counseling before getting married, or at least go online and take a pre-marriage quiz. There are many sites you can go to online allowing you and your future spouse to go privately and take a pre-marriage quiz. You can do this by yourself to help you understand more about your own needs for a successful marriage, or go as a couple and see if there are differences the two of you need to work on or see the differences the two of you need to work through before getting married. Once you have taken the quiz, then you can talk with a counselor or even a spiritual leader in your church if this would make you more comfortable. When I was in private practice, I provided pre-marriage counseling for a local church before they would marry the couple. There are many churches who still require couples to seek some type of marriage counseling before they will marry them. For those who go to counseling, not all of them will decide that marriage is the best option for them, either right now or sometimes not at all. If these individuals who learned enough about themselves and their future spouses to prevent a strong possibility of divorcing in the future. There is some positive news about the divorce rate, and that it is going down with millennials. Millennials are waiting to get married, making that decision to marry someone. I skipped a page, so let me move on and get there. Millennials, they're waiting to get married to each other. They're getting their education prepared better so that they can prepare to have higher incomes in the future. They're spending time getting to know one another more. Now, let me give you what all this means in real numbers. 48% of those who marry before the age of 18 are likely to divorce within 10 years, compared to 25% of those who marry after the age of 25. 60% of couples who marry between the ages of 20 to 25 will end in divorce. That's 60%. Couples who spend at least 3 years getting to know each other are 40% less likely to get divorced. High school dropouts are 13% more likely to divorce. Individuals who have attended college have a 13% lower risk of divorce. An annual income of $50,000 can decrease the risk of divorce by as much as 30% versus those with an income of under $25,000. These numbers become even more significant when we consider that the number one reason for divorce is financial problems. Couples spend more time arguing over finances than any other issue. In fact, couples who argue over finances weekly are 30% more likely to end in divorce. Feeling that one spouse spends money foolishly increases the likelihood of divorce by 45%. With the cost of living constantly rising, with no indication of going down anytime soon, it makes sense to give your marriage the best chance of survival by being financially prepared to meet your needs and your goals for the future. If you need help better preparing for your financial future, contact the Airmen Family and Readiness Center. Let them go over your particular situation with you. Communication and paying attention to your spouse are two of the keys to successful, healthy, and happy marriage. Let me say it again. Communication and paying attention to your spouse are two of the keys to a successful, healthy, and happy marriage. So it should not come as a surprise that the second most common reason for divorce is lack of communication skills during times of conflict. Where we learn how to communicate in a marriage is based on learned behaviors. These mostly come from watching those who raised you. You may have watched the adults yell, scream, or throw things at one another, or your experience may have been the opposite, where the adults didn't talk to each other at all and just shut down until the storm passed. Regardless of how the adults in your life communicated, you were there watching and learning. This is how I'm supposed to communicate in my own marriage. Even if you do tell yourself, you'll never treat your spouse the same way, you might still follow in the same footprints if you haven't learned any new behaviors to act differently. Being able to recognize any dysfunctional behaviors you grew up around is the first step to making changes. Educate yourself with positive communication skills that will allow your marriage to be successful. There are many great books written on communication skills, especially working through conflict using positive communication. Family Advocacy has a couples communications class you can take. This consists of 6 individual 90-minute classes that you can go to, and if you're already anticipating marrying someone or freshly married, you and your spouse or future spouse come together, learn these steps with one another. When I was getting ready to get married, my parents told me to never go to bed mad with my spouse. Whatever our problem was, it should be fixed before going to bed. Even though my parents were trying to give me good advice, this may have been one of the worst advices I could have ever gotten. To give my parents credit, I still today hear this same advice given to young people when they are getting ready to get married. When you become tired and sleepy, your ability to think clearly greatly diminishes. When you see that an issue is going to need more time to discuss, be willing to hold off on talking about it until the next day. You will be much fresher, sure, and you'll think clearer while getting some rest. Your emotions will be a lot lower, and you can understand your spouse's side of the situation discussion, and which will help find a solution to the problem. This will let each person, your spouse, know that you're just trying to understand her. And make sure you let your spouse know when you're going to come back together and talk. This way he or she won't feel like you're trying to stonewall them. Another suggestion, agree to take divorce off the table. Now, if there is physical abuse or other abusive behaviors in the marriage, divorce may be the only protection the spouse may have. But divorce should never be used as a bargaining tool to get what you want. When a spouse is always having to fear the marriage is going to end in a divorce, it takes away the desire to work on differences. When getting married, couples promise till death do we part. Marriage is a contract with one another. It promises that you're going to work through the good times and the hard times. Many couples think of only the here and now and everything that is supposed to be happy and content. We live in a fast food world that has taught us that we should get everything right now and that we shouldn't have to wait on it. We both come into this marriage after having spent our entire lives building on who we are as individuals. Your brain is packed full of skills you have developed to help you have this perfect marriage which you have been dreaming about. Don't ruin all of that with poor communication skills that leaves your spouse feeling fearful of the day it will end. When couples feel secure in their marriage, they are more willing to work through those difficult times when they disagree. Family is the third leading cause of marriages to fail. You don't want to put your spouse in a situation where he or she has to decide between you or his or her family. Your spouse might choose you in the beginning out of love. However, that love may erode very quickly when your spouse begins missing family. Your spouse